Hey, Avish, how are you?
I said, good in you.
I'm okay. Just been another week where, usual pandemic nonsense. And yeah, at least our chat is like a nice distraction from all the problems of the world. So let's get down to our usual game on series. Okay, we'll start off with the matches that have not that much excitement, which is the Pakistan and New Zealand one. What's your thoughts on this one? As we had expected, New Zealand won.
Look, yet again, Pakistan, there's two problems here. Batting first, they're not scoring enough runs, and when New Zealand are batting, they're just not bowling teams out, and that's the issue. So they're always behind the game in some regards. And if you look at the Kiwis, the way they batted here, 659 for six wicket. I mean, they just have no answers to Kane Williamson at the moment. I mean, he's in the form of his life at the moment. I mean, he's really on a career high. He's this is we talking about one of the top three best players in the world at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
and he's showing his class right through the series, and a thoroughly dominant performance from the New Zealanders, and Pakistan very second, 186, it's not good enough. I mean, to lose by an innings, I mean, it's one thing losing a match,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
it's another thing going down without a fight, and I just felt they didn't show enough fight, as they did in the first test, which they did show a lot of fight there, and they
yeah.
just lost that match with a few overs to spare, and that was very heartening to see. But I think they've just gone back, you know, the wheels just came off at the end here,
Yeah,
the
I
wheels
think
completely came off.
yeah, but I
And
think in a nutshell, they must have been deflated because of the fact that when you drop so many catches, right? And then the score, it's kind of hard to have any more motivation to carry on. So I think in hindsight, this all makes sense that the collapse was happening. Oh, you've unmuted yourself. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh,
can you hear me now? Yeah, what I was trying to explain is the bowlers are very are really you really feel really do feel disheartened when catches go down, and they just drop far too many catches in
yes.
this match,
Yeah.
to actually bowl an opposition out, and
Yeah.
mammoth total of 659 in the first innings, and you're always going to play catch up thereafter.
Yeah. Yes. So let's get to something a little bit more happier. That is us, and we expectedly beat Sri Lanka, and that too by 10 wickets. So yeah, fine. Obviously, it wasn't probably the best Sri Lankan side we'll ever play, or can't get any worse. So, so I think it was a done deal. Though I shouldn't put it like that, but such was the injury list for Sri Lanka. I mean, if we didn't win this, we would have had to really have a serious checkup. What do you think?
Look, man, you can only be the team that's put out on the park, and that's exactly what South Africa did. They beat the team
Yeah, I
that,
agree.
that was
Yeah,
put out on the
yeah,
park, and
yeah, yeah.
quite convincingly as well. It was a thoroughly professional performance
Yeah,
from the Proteas in
that's
this
true.
series.
That's true.
Uh, I think the bowlers will take a lot of confidence from this because uh, just barring the first day of the first Test match, I think they hit their straps thereafter. They bowled superbly as a unit, and they managed to take 20 wickets, which is very important in a Test match. I mean, if you can't take 20 wickets, you're not going to win a test match. So this is
Yes.
exactly what transpired. Yeah, spare of thought for the Sri Lankans. They were depleted in terms of
Yes.
injuries. Just
Yeah.
couldn't really show their full potential in the
Hmm.
series
Yeah.
because they were really hampered by injuries right through
Yeah.
from the first day. I think in a way that they didn't really have much preparation
Hmm.
going into this
Yeah.
piece in a way. I would say both teams in a way. Uh, there wasn't really much cricket for a lot of those players, and
Yeah.
they were just playing a little bit of domestic cricket back home. Um, there wasn't even a practice match, to get obviously acclimatized to conditions.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of the norm. It's kind of the norm at the moment
Yeah.
with these new regulations and COVID and
Yeah.
these short tours that you're really not going to get time for a practice game because
Hmm.
once you're down, you've got to quarantine for a couple of days and then get
Hmm.
into the first day. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. But they, you know what? There is a few performances that they can obviously take heart from in the series. Um, the bowling of Fernando,
Hmm.
he was quite impressive in the first innings. He took a fiver. Uh, the leg spinner, Hasaranga, he bowled and batted quite admirably in the series, especially in the first test, which he scored a half century. So he's one for the future. He can pull that all round position. I'm not sure what's the options going forward. And then the other all rounder Shanika, I think he performed quite well in the
Yeah.
series. So yeah, there is a few positives, and then obviously Pereira. But
Yeah.
my one issue with Pereira is he's got all the shots.
Yeah.
He's got all the
But
shots.
he
It's just
doesn't know how
that
to balance it out.
no, he doesn't have the patience. He doesn't have the patience for Test cricket, unfortunately. So he's a bit of a dasher, which is not
Yeah.
such a bad thing at the top of the order because it
Yeah.
gets the scoreboard ticking. But I
Yeah.
think it comes to a point where you got to balance defense and attack. You
Yeah.
can't be attacking your innings. You got to come to a stage where
Yeah.
you've got to try and wear the attack down. I think that was a great. That is why these great players like Sangakkara and Jay Watt, I mean, they were so good in blunting an attack, as opposed to just playing extravagant shots right through the innings. And
Yeah.
you got to put a price in your wicket. You have to put a price in your wicket, and I think he didn't do that much. There were some good performances, but I would think it would be hard to drop a player like him because
Yeah.
you're not sure what you're going to get from him in a day. You could get a superb performance,
Oh.
and
Oh.
this would be something that you wouldn't want to miss. And then from a South African point of view, I would say the form of Elgar. He's
Yes.
come through leaps and bounds, and I think he understands his game at the moment as an opener. He was superb. He was really, really superb throughout the series, tackling uh, the opening bowlers of Sri Lanka. So uh, a superb series from him. Uh, the bowlers, you know, I wouldn't want to pick out one bowler in particular because I think as a unit they bowl quite well. But the new guys, the rookies, Pamela and Mulder, I think they ones for the future.
Yeah.
Really, really good performances in the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much nailed it on the head. And when you were speaking about blunting, I was thinking of our next segment here, which is India and Australia, because I was thinking of, Pujara and then Bihari and and on a final note, we spoke about Jawad and Sangakkara. I wouldn't want to use the word blunting with them. I would say they were just more balanced players, like between attack and defense. Whilst with Pujara, I feel that he's mostly defensive. But with Pujara, I feel he does have the potential to be balanced, but I just think he's so stuck in that what's that word method of being like that, that it's kind of a bit difficult. But funny enough, he was much more positive in the second innings than in the first innings. So if only if he had been more like that in the first innings, who knows what would have happened. So yeah, imagine, you can see the match with a draw, which was great. Makes it a bit of an interesting match for Brisbane. So your thoughts?
Sensational performance from India. What defiance, what character they showed on the fifth day. To bet out an entire day on a wearing Sydney pitch, which I think in a way actually played quite well on the
Yeah,
fifth day.
yeah. To
To be
be,
honest with you,
yeah. In order to being very defensive, yeah, it was very well. Yeah, it worked out
yeah,
that if you're playing one way, the pitch becomes easier. But if you were being attacking on that pitch, maybe the pitch would have looked a bit dodgy. Who knows?
absolutely, absolutely. And you talk about the batters that came before, but I think you give a lot of credit to Ashwin and Bihari for batting out close to 40 overs in that final session with,
Yeah,
against that bowling attack that was throwing everything at them, and just in a way saying to them, you know what, we here, we here to compete, and we're going to hold our ground, and that's exactly what they did. Sensational performance on that last day from Team India. But I just want to go back to the start of this test match. Australia batting first on day one. We all know there was a bit of weather there, but I think they'd be a little bit disappointed with the total that they scored in that first inning.
mm. Yeah.
In a way, because they could have called. I mean, at one stage it was looking around 450, 500, but then India for pulling that one back, and then
Yeah.
India came in, and they got in themselves in a real mess here,
Yeah.
playing some uncharacteristic shots,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
just in a way giving Australia the advantage.
Yeah.
When
Being
they
too defensive.
when there was a point in that innings where absolutely they were really too defensive and too cautious,
Hmm.
weren't really keeping the scoreboard ticking,
Yeah, they
and
should have
just
at least
let
made an
Australia back
effort
in that game.
because they could at least come close to the score, and then who knows what the result would have been. I'm not saying if they were attacking mostly, they would have probably beaten the lead, but they would have gotten close to the score, and then. But all these are all speculations, hindsights, and maybe it's just meant to be that Brisbane will be the clinch.
I
But yeah,
In a way, I also say there was obviously some reckless running between the wickets.
oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
They
that too.
obviously
Terrible, terrible. 3 runouts, I
back
think.
and gone,
One,
and
two.
then
Oh no, I'm lying. It's actually 2 runouts, I think. Unless I'm miscounting it. Yeah, three. Yeah, 3 runouts.
absolutely. I mean, there's too many in a I mean, with the amount of time that you do have to bat out the league, so there's just far too many. And as you say, the runs were not scored quick enough.
Yeah.
They just let Australia bow to them, and they just fell into themselves. But going into that second innings, the Indian second innings, a very, very positive start from the openers.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, I thought Gill and Rohit really batted well up the order, and built that platform for the middle order to come in. And then from 71 for no loss, it became 98 for 2 at the end of the day. We thought,
Yeah.
this was still Australia's game
Yes.
going into day 5 on a wedding pitch
Yeah.
with Lyon bowling those footmarks, Nathan Lyon. He was always going to be a threat. And then they lost their captain early on day 5.
Yeah. Rahane. Yeah.
This is really going to be an uphill battle.
Mm.
But then, this is where the game really turned for me. This is where the game really turned on its head for me.
Yeah.
This was a brilliant stroke. This was actually like a master stroke from the captain
Mm. Mm.
to promote Rishabh Pant up the order at number 5. And what an amazing innings from him. What an
Actually,
amazing, absolutely.
yeah. In hindsight, he should have probably been a bit more sensible with the
You
three
know
runs
what?
they needed for the 100. It would have been interesting to have seen what would have happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let me just say something here.
Uh-huh.
He really brought India back into this game
Mm.
in terms of actually winning this match. In terms of actually winning this match on the final day, which is actually going to be unthinkable. But he
True.
brought India within a glimmer of winning this match And yeah, really unfortunate. I mean, super of the century. Really deserved the century.
Yeah.
But you know, one shot, one shot, one shot too many. And I guess that's the nature of the player that he is. You know, he goes for his he goes for his shots, and he backs himself 100%. And then Pujara, I mean, you really can't underestimate the performance of Pujara in this test match. I
Yeah.
mean,
The master defender. Oh yeah. That's funny.
look at the amount of balls that he soaked up. I mean, look
Yeah.
at the amount of balls that he soaked up. It is 212 balls
Yeah.
that he soaked up in his innings, and
Mm.
I think in a way blunted the Aussie attack.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what? I don't want to take anything away. At 277 for five, it was still Aussie's game on. You know,
Of
it was
course.
still Australia's game for the day. But I mean, the way those two guys,
Yeah, I mean, some people were
I,
saying because of Vihari's injury, it kind of delayed, kind of took away India's chance of at least attempting the win. So it would have been interesting if Vihari didn't get injured. You know, it would have been kind of fun. But then it could also gone the other way, whereby more wickets could have fell, and then Australia might have won. So it's all 50-50. Who knows what would have happened?
absolutely. But I think at the point when Pujara actually was, I think let's save this test match.
Hmm?
Let's not play any loose shots here. Let's save this test match. Safety is a priority. At least we can go into the final test 1-1. But I mean, still,
Hmm.
I mean, what a monumentous effort on that pitch. It was
Yeah.
that bowling attack
Hmm.
to survive 40 plus overs in the final session on day 5. Uh, it was one of the great fight backs. One of the great escapes
Yeah.
uh, in testing of cricket. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. People were
amazing.
comparing it
As I say,
to people were comparing it to our fight back. Remember the Faf du Plessis 100? Yeah, they were comparing it to that.
you know, very similar, very similar in terms of fight. Because I guess in that game they SA also had the better of the last day, you know, and
Yes.
and, and quite admirably. And yeah, I mean, amazing show of defiance from India. Uh, Absolute. They showed their character in this test match. It was amazing.
Yeah, and speaking of which, before we get to the fourth match, just wanted to get your quick thoughts on the Payne sledging Ashwin and Smith playing around with the guard. What were your quick thoughts on those two incidents?
Look, in terms of that incident between Payne and Ashwin, I thought it really didn't, it was really uncalled for. I mean, we obviously, it's a game. It's a game played by men, and we don't mind a bit of sledging, but it has to be within the boundaries. And I think Tim Payne, he crossed the boundary a bit there by overdoing it. And I thought Payne, in a way, he didn't really have a good game. So
Yeah.
I think in a way his frustrations of not having a good game actually came out onto the field in that game. Because I mean, he dropped quite a few catches.
Yes.
He had a poor day with the glove.
Yeah, and they're not a bad keeper. I think he's actually quite good. Just had a bad game. Once off, I think. So I think.
I mean, look, he's quite a decent keeper, but he really had a he really had a horror show, especially on that day 5.
Yeah, definitely.
If you look at the catches that he dropped,
Yeah.
those were quite crucial game changers.
Especially a pant. He dropped him twice.
Especially Pant.
Yeah.
You really didn't know what the game would have actually.
Man. India might have been. India would have probably been battling like anything to draw that match, or maybe they might have drawn it, or they might have lost it. So, yeah, that's always those drop catches become quite vital. And then the Smiths playing around with the guard. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Steve Smith, that's a bit of childish behavior from my point of view. I mean, it's totally uncalled for. We saw it during that tea interval. I really couldn't understand the thinking behind it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, it was really childish behavior for a player that's one of the best modern day batsmen in the world. And
Yes.
he's a great player, but I think his tactics are really questionable at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that I think one player did mention that he's a bit worried about Steve Smith's anger issue. They feel that he could be heading toward that sandpaper gate scenario again. So hopefully not. I mean, we don't need another Australian chaos. There's enough chaos in the world.
Well, I guess if they're going to have another sandpaper incident, I don't think Australian cricket is going to survive from that, because
Yeah.
they're still trying to pick up the pieces from the last scandal. So this is really going to be a setback for them. But that was just unsavory, a really unsavory incident from a guy like Smith. He expected much better.
Okay, all right. So enough of the third test. We can now get into the fourth test. And I think people had mentioned that if India can win the toss bat first, it'll really put Australia in the back foot because the bowlers were really pushed to the ground. So hopefully India can make about 400 on this pitch. Maybe 400 is asking a lot. Maybe 350. Because I think Australia's bowlers would be really grounded probably even by then. And then the batsmen would be probably half dead. And then hopefully India just bowl out of this ball and then bowl them out for 200. I'm just kidding. I know 200 sounds unrealistic, but you never know.
Wow, very interesting. I mean, playing at the Gabba fourth test, it's a fortress for this for Australia. I mean, they haven't lost a test match there in 33 years going by now. Back to 1988, I think that was the last time that they actually tasted defeat at the Gabba. So it's an opposing fixture. It's a ground that they obviously perform very well at. But as you say, their bowlers will definitely be a bit tired in a way, because they're bowling 131 overs. So there'll be a lot of fatigue there, and getting back into this next test match in the space of 3 days. So I mean,
Yeah.
just 3 days to get back into that rhythm again. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
From an Australian point of view, I would think they want to bat first.
Naturally, yeah.
Just give their bowlers a little bit more time to recover, because if they're going to be bowling first, it's really going to be a tall order for them.
Yeah, they'll have to probably go in short spells. They'll have to probably bowl in short spells, like 3 over spells, 5 over spells. You can't put them through that ring-a-dinga.
Yeah, I guess the unfortunate thing at the moment, especially with this India team, there's a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
And a lot of key players are injured. So that's really going to hamper them. I don't know what's the situation with Bahari, but I know Jadeja is out of the fourth test, and
and Bumrah won't be playing as well. So in a way, and I'm not trying to. Yeah, Bumrah's out.
Yeah,
so
I mean that really.
You could say this
really
is like a
playing field now.
Yeah, this is like an Indian A versus Australia. So technically, this is in a way you could say like a wrapped up Christmas gift, because there's no Bumrah. I mean, there's no other bowlers. You're pretty much facing bowlers you've never faced a lot of. I mean, you face them in other test matches, but I mean, it's pretty much like, and you're gonna get a pitch that'll suit you. So if Australia don't win Brisbane, I mean, there'll be a lot of questions for Australia to answer. I think, and I don't want to sound mean towards India because what they did was great in Sydney, but I feel that a draw for India would be like a victory for them, and they will, funny enough, retain the series. So I think India won't even mind drawing this match. Honestly, I think Australia will probably be crying their eyes out if they had to draw this match as well.
Absolutely, I agree with you there, but I just feel this Gabba pitch, it's definitely not a pitch that you would associate with a draw.
Of course,
it's a pitch that you're probably going to get a result on.
Yeah.
Because there's so much space and bounce, and it's really unfortunate that a guy like Bumrah is not playing, because he's the spearhead of this attack, and I think he would have enjoyed those conditions at the Gabba. So this is really unfortunate, and the Indian injury list just keeps on getting longer and longer, and it's the end of a long tour, and wow, it's been a tour that's actually flown by, to think about it, and it's
Yeah.
almost been 2 months, and it's just flown by. And yeah, I think it's coming to a point now where the players are actually getting a little bit weary here,
And
and that's why
frustrated.
you're getting these sort of little. Absolutely, it's it's understandable.
Yeah.
But getting back to the game as such, you mentioned Australia. They got such a proud record on this ground. Yeah, this is a fortress.
Yeah.
If we had to talk about all the grounds in Australia, this is actually probably the fortress. This is probably the most difficult uh, venue for any visiting team to actually come and get a result, let alone a draw. Uh, look, uh, looking at these two sides at the moment, I think the Indian side are really going to be hampered by these injuries,
We don't say.
big time.
In
It's
fact,
going to be
that was
another.
yeah.
It's going to be another test of character here,
Mm,
big time.
mm.
I think over 5 days. I've been really, really poor with making predictions in the series, because it's really a series that's been swinging from team to team, session to session. It's
Yeah.
it's it's never been one-way traffic throughout, and
Yeah.
that's why it's been such a superb series
Mm,
to watch
mm.
as a neutral as well.
Yeah.
Um, but looking at the injuries, I'd give Australia the edge slightly here, just barring the injuries. But the Indian batsmen, they'd obviously be very. They'll obviously want to prove a point again here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So against a very wary and fatigued Australian bowling lineup that I felt in a way uh, didn't really bowl that badly
Yeah.
in,
I
in, in
think.
the Sydney Test, but
In fact, I
I,
think they were just
I would think the
unlucky.
pitch in a way.
Yeah, they were just unlucky. Dropped
Yeah,
catches.
I
Yeah.
would think in a way definitely I would think in a way the pitch really didn't really uh, give much assistance to the likes of Cummins and Hazelwood, because I was watching day 5, and I didn't see a single ball deviate off the pitch. So that when you obviously don't see that happening, you probably think it's quite a relatively flat wicket where defending would come a little bit easier. And
Yeah.
but you don't take anything away from Team India, the way they dug in there till the end
But I think
and
the
showed
drop
so much of
catches,
fight.
but the drop catches, I think ruined Australia more than the pitch because yes, if Australia took the catches and yet the match was still like this a dead draw, then I understand. But the drop catches sabotaged Australia so badly that it made the pitch look like it was like that. But I think the pitch was fine.
Absolutely,
I think
absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree with what you said. I totally agree with what you said. But I just if I look back at that Adelaide pitch where there was so much of movement on day
yeah,
3, and it's
yeah,
such seems like such a long time ago, and
yeah.
and
Don't
we've
remind
seen
me.
very contrasting pictures.
I thought that was a joke
We,
when I
we've
saw
seen
that 36 all out. I thought that was a joke and I looked at it and then I had to double check it. But oh well, thank God
yeah,
that's the past. And then India came back brilliantly. I think Ranit being an inspirational captain, and I'm sure. But then even then, with all the inspiration, it's going to be difficult for India to really win this. I feel them drawing this will feel like a win for them because I think, as I said, this is like a Christmas gift for Australia. You have no great bowlers for this Test match. I'm not trying to disrespect the other guys, but if Australia don't win this Test match, I think there'll be a lot of soul searching for them. And that's me putting it very politely. This is not beat around the bush. This is Australia's to win, and I think India have done the best they could do. I think it's gonna be. I think the only thing that could save India is just weather and them batting first. Otherwise, I don't see them winning it from the.
absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying there. It was a superb fight from India to draw that third test and keep the series alive. Because I mean, throughout that test match, Australia were actually dominant for a lot
Hmm.
of sessions. They were quite dominant, and it is just at the 5th day that it totally belonged to India. It totally belonged to India, and that was the day that you could have got a result. So I think Australia would be very, very disappointed as to not winning that test match, but give full credit to India for showing
Of course, yeah,
so much of fight
yeah.
and digging deep and getting this draw and keeping it alive going into Brisbane.
Yes, actually, on a final note, let's just speak about the potential player that could play. Because I'm thinking India might play Saha, which I think might be a good thing because his keeping is fantastic. And then they might play Mayank Agarwal, even though I would prefer to see Saha playing because I think his keeping would be very useful. But then I think on Brisbane, I think Saha will be good to have because he's a good keeper and you'll need to take all your catches. And I think but I'm not a fan of. I think Mayank Agarwal's okay, but I think what choice do they have? I don't know if they'll overload the batting or they'll try and bring in Kuldeep. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think the most important thing is they've got to get a decent bowling attack on the field. A bowling attack that can potentially take 20 wickets because you're going to need 20 wickets to win this test match.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a key for them. In the batting, yeah, they can tinker, but I would say I think Jadeja is going to be a huge loss, especially because the balance that he brings to this team. And ever since he came back into the team, I mean, they perform much better. So, yeah, Kuldeep probably as a left-arm option. And Saha is actually he's quite impressive behind the stumps.
Very impressive.
Really good keeper.
Yeah.
You could probably play him and then probably play Punt as a pure batsman. So
definitely.
those would probably be the options. I think you mentioned Agarwal. I don't think he's had a really good tour. To be honest with you, I think he's been found wanting outside off stump. He's been found wanting with a ball that's coming back, and hitting his pads. Defense has not been that solid enough for me. So it would be a real surprise if they do play him because he has not come to grips with these pitches at all.
Yeah, I would love to have seen Natarajan playing because a left arm bowler, a bit of versatility. I just feel if you're gonna have too many right arm bowlers, it becomes a bit one dimensional, especially when the experience of this attack is not going to be great. But then I'm having a theory in my mind that it is coming. I don't know if you agree with this theory, and it might sound a bit negative, but if you look at this Indian side and with the bowlers they're gonna have playing this test match, maybe if they overload their side was just pure batsmen and have fewer bowlers, maybe if India win the toss, just bat as long as you can, whatever total it is. And that way it's gonna make Australia do all the running and then that way, as I mentioned, a draw for them will be a win. So maybe if they overload this side of batsmen and they just bat out time and also be positive at the same time, you can't just be defensive minded like in the first innings of Sydney. I think that might be the way for India to go. Just play mainly batsmen because realistically, I don't see India playing how they did for the first 3 Test matches. I just don't see it.
Absolutely. You know what? Make no mistake. All the pressure is on the home side here. I mean, they've got to come out and they've got to win this Test match in order to win the series. If India draw this Test match, they retain the trophy. So all the pressure is on the home side to make all the running. So I think if the best chance India do have is batting first, getting a total on the board, and then putting Australia in, and that's when you can really take the game. You can dominate the game in a way because Australia would be batting last on that pitch.
Oh yeah, point.
So, yeah,
but then it also depends on your But there's only one problem with my theory because if you overload your team with batsmen and you don't have really much bowlers, even if you bat first and you make a good score, but the amount of bowlers you got, I think Australia will probably come close to the score or even better it. Then what India will have to do again is that with the batsmen they have, they'll have to just bat out time because that's why I don't see them winning it. I think India, and I don't think I should be talking like this. I normally would advocate for a win, but with the attack India's got, I think, and also with their batting being so bad, well, maybe not the bad, but maybe it's brittle is probably a better word. They should just overload this team with batsmen and just, when whatever happens, just just. I think maybe it could work out. They bat out time, and then as you say, Australia will have all the running, so it could work to India's advantage because Australia will be trying to chase the game if India bat first and make 400 by just batting out time, and then it could be fun actually going with that strategy of just overloading a team with batsmen because Australia have all the running to do, it end up giving away the wickets, and then I think it'll work out the strategy of overloading a team with batsmen. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting because I think, as I said, they've got to find the right balance. It's either you play 7 batsmen, you play 4 bowlers, and then you back those batsmen to do the job for you. So that could be an option because, I've got another theory there because that Gabba pitch is so fast, bouncy. You can obviously take the spinner out of the equation and probably play 4. Okay, well, I would think Ashwin would still play, and then
hopefully
3 fast bowlers and 7 batsmen. Yeah, that to me that would be a probably much more decent sort of formation to go.
Yeah, but I would have loved to see Natarajan playing a nice left arm combination, nice left armer. But if Ashwin wasn't going to play, then you would have had Kuldeep, and then the problem is if you overload your team with batsmen, you could have, and also if you're only playing pacemen, it's the overrate, so it'll become very difficult for India to keep up. So
it would definitely become difficult. You would have that one spinner.
Yeah, and I think Pity we haven't spoken much about the Australian squad. We've been so focused on India. Let's just get quickly on the Australian squad. I think Puskowski, the debutant, I think he might be replaced by Marcus Harris.
Yeah, I mean, very disappointing. I mean, such a bright debut for this young player. I was actually quite impressed with the way he batted in that first innings. You know, he showed a lot of. I think he played with so much freedom.
Yeah.
Some of the shots that he played. I mean, he didn't show that fear that we saw from Burns in the last test match. So
Burns really burned Australia.
I think the one question mark here.
Yeah.
I think the one question mark in this Australian side is a guy like Wade, Matthew Wade. He hasn't scored enough runs.
Yeah.
In the series, and I think his place is actually in doubt here. So I might think they might just probably give him a last stint here.
Yeah.
And give him a last chance to Lunia and see if he can prove himself. Because if he doesn't have a good test match, so I don't really see him being in the mix for the future plans. Because that's a bit of a hole for me. That middle order of Australia is quite vulnerable in a way. Yeah. So you mentioned Puskowski. Yeah, there is some doubts about him not being fit for this test match. So, yeah, Marcus Harris, he's quite a solid player.
Yes.
Yeah. I would think he would probably be the correct replacement for Puskowski. And I think he'll enjoy batting with David Warner because I don't think we saw the best of Warner in the last test match because those he's still coming out of that injury. But I think if he does play, you'd see a little bit more freedom from Warner in this test match.
Yeah, and I have said before, this is like a Christmas gift for Australia. I mean, they're playing against an India A. They have a pitch that will suit them. So if they don't win this, there'll be a lot of soul searching. It's true. I mean, India don't have the best.
A lot of inquiries.
Yes, putting it politely, I think there'll be a lot of soul searching, a lot of scolding also, along with the soul searching, I think. So it's like with the SA situation, they're all wrapped up in a Christmas gift. SA played against Sri Lanka, pitch suited us. So it was like a Christmas gift ready to be unwrapped. I know that sounds a bit brutal towards India. It sounds maybe disrespectful, but we have to be realistic about it, What do you think?
Yeah, I suppose injuries are really unfortunate, and especially coming to this fourth test, which is so important for both teams in a way. Because India's performance on day 5 kept the series alive, and it's alive going into the fourth test.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of pundits that actually would have expected that. But I mean, full credit to them. And whatever happens in this test series, I think they've competed quite well.
Yeah, I think India have been great considering the number of injuries they've had, and I think considering what Rahane had to come into, because it could have been difficult for any captain coming in, and everyone expected them to roll over 4-0, and the scoreline is still 1-0. I think that is quite admirable, and I think I don't know if we did our predictions. I think my prediction is the heart is going with India and draw, but the mind is saying Australia. So I think I'm hoping that the heart wins because I don't want Australia to really win, but we'll see how it goes.
Look, I'd obviously love to see an Indian win as well. They thoroughly deserve to something out of the series. The way they played so far, but they wouldn't, as I say, they wouldn't be too upset with a draw. But I feel, on the balance of play, injury wise and stuff, as I said before, it's slightly in Australia's favor, but they still got to ram home the advantage, which they did not do in the last test match. So yeah, to me it's all to play for.
I think in terms of scenario, let me put it to you, like, let's make this cut and dry scenario. If Australia win the toss, they bat first, it's Australia's victory. No bullshitting about it. Use my language for the viewers watching this, okay? And then another scenario, if India win the toss, and if the team is loaded with batsmen, with not match bowlers, and if India bat first and bat long enough, maybe till the second day, late in the second day, then I feel hopefully it's either India win or draw. That's pretty much the scenario for me. So expect that if the first scenario happens, Australia bat first, then it's a win for them. I don't think we can expect a draw from this unless weather intervenes. That's pretty much it for me on that side of it all. I don't know if you agree with my analysis there.
I would say so. I would say so. Batting first, but I mean, you just cannot rule anything out in this test. This test series anymore. It's been swinging from one session to another, and you've got two teams that are so closely matched, and it's fitting that it's gone down to the final test match of the series. So yeah, all to play for. I can't wait for this hot test match.
Yes, and I shall pray India win the toss, bat first tomorrow, and may the best team win. And as usual, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and we shall catch up again soon.
Pleasure, Sid. See you soon. Take care.